The last person that we'd expect to speak out on defense on the Chicago Bulls roster has officially spoke out in Nikola Vucevic. The big man that's not known for his defense but excels a lot on offense came to speak out on basket news as of late. We're going to break down everything you need to know about that and give our takes here on Bulls Digest. I'm your host, Joey Mercer, as usual, and before we get into it there today, I just want to say that about 76% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel, so if you aren't already subscribed, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button. Every time we upload, you'll be able to stay up to date with our takes on the Chicago Bulls and everything you need to know about it. So without further ado, we'll get in the topic at hand there today, and that is, Vucevic speaks out on defense. Now, realistically, this is the last guy I would expect, I'm not sure about everybody watching it, that would speak out about defense at all in the NBA because Vucevic is not a very good defender. His defensive rating actually this season is the worst it's been since joining the Bulls at about 114, which if you're not familiar with, 100 is basically your even point. The higher the worse, the lower the better. 114, not so great, and that's not exactly someone you would expect to speak out on such a topic. This article, actually from Basket News, as I said, was posted a couple of days ago and says Nikola Vucevic explains why it's hard to defend in the NBA and makes Final Four predictions. Now, we're not going to discuss the Final Four predictions that he made. We're going to focus just on what he said about defense and dive right into that right away. It says here, now that centers are getting the attention that they deserve again, the veteran big man observes that his counterparts have enriched their offensive arsenal. I think what's happened is that centers have evolved with the way the game's been changing. We've changed as well. Now you have centers that can really pass the ball, can put the ball on the floor, make plays, shoot threes, play like guards, and we have Wembanyama, who was 4 or 5. He plays like a guard, Vucevic told Americanos 24. Now, interesting enough, obviously Victor Wembanyama is on an absolute tear as of late and is now second in Defensive Player of the Year voting from the time that I'm recording this video, just behind the Minnesota Timberwolves defensive star center, Rudy Gobert. Now, Nikola Vucevic obviously nowhere near in the category of those guys, but a lot of this was sparked up because of what Gilbert Arenas had said on his podcast, and I highly suggest that you go and watch that yourself to kind of make your own opinion, because it's quite a controversial take. Next we can see here, it says, so I think we've had to adjust because the game has changed, and I thought it's just kind of created just a different center position that he used to be. You don't see as many big men anymore, just posting up and playing that way. There's a lot more threes going up, faster pace, and we have to adjust. Whatever position you play, the game's always evolving. It's always changing, and you can't get stuck in time. The game changes, you have to follow, and you have to be able to adjust. A lot of big men that have been here for a long time, they've been able to do that. Obviously, like the newer generation that's coming in, they've been learning to play that way. So I think it's been great for the game of basketball to see more big men being able to do different stuff and adjust. Vucevic refused to respond to what Gilbert Arenas said in the podcast about Europeans being soft and blaming overseas players for what he perceives as a lack of defense in the NBA. Now, a lot of this has come up actually because Gilbert Arenas has talked about Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic and has really focused on them. I don't think he really put Victor Wembanyama into the equation because he is a very solid defensive player, even Rudy Gobert. But it's interesting to see that Gilbert thinks that that's the reason that the offense is actually taken over and the defense is so bad. You've got other guys like Jalen Green, Jordan Poole, other guys who are obviously Jalen Green, not American, but grew up in the United States. You have those guys that are really just offensive and put up pretty empty calorie stats, which contributes to this high scoring volume. Now, interestingly enough, Nikola Vucevic, who spoke on three-point shooting with him and Wembanyama, both of which are very bad catch-and-shoot players. They're both bottom 10 in the entire NBA. Wembanyama is one of the top players off the dribble when he tries to shoot a pull-up and create his own three-pointer, but Vooch overall is having a really rough season as he shoots very poor from the top of the arc, right dead on, straight center from three. That's where he likes to shoot the most, and doesn't shoot very well from there. He should stick to the corners. But Gilbert Arenas coming out and saying this is not exactly the greatest take. I really do think that this has to do with a scoring influx because of pick and rolls, different offenses that are being run now, and it's not all to be blamed on the defense, or more specifically, the Europeans coming over. I think they've helped the game way more than they've hurt it, as they've made it more of a global organization as opposed to being just for North America, for example. Next thing we saw on this was, I have nothing to say about that, but I think it's very hard to play defense in the NBA, he replied. Part of it is the change of rules where a lot of it was favoring the offensive players. With the three-point line now and everybody shooting so many threes, and you have at least 3 to 4 guys that can just shoot threes and get hot at any time. It creates so much space and it's hard to defend now, especially with all the skill set that's in the NBA. For example, the Clippers have James Harden with the ball, but then you have Zubac rolling, and then you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and Norman Powell on the wing. It's everybody can shoot, and they spread out the defense, so there's a lot of space. There's a 3-second rule in defense, and it's just hard to cover so much space when the ball is moving. Guys are making moves and everything. And I think that people that haven't played in the NBA and have not actually competed at this level don't understand. And sometimes I know on TV it looks like that, but it's also because guys are very, very good offensively, and they make it look easy. A lot of people say stuff just for attention, but it doesn't matter. The NBA is the best league in the world. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have as much of a big following as we do, Vucevic argued. And that's a very good point once again from Vuce. I do believe this is the best basketball organization in the entire world right now. A lot of international talent, which I think that some people like Gilbert Arenas are not used to, which led to his controversial take, I guess. Me personally, I do think that there are a lot of European players that are very good on defense, even historically, when you look at players like Andrei Kirilenko, for example. But there's also been great offensive players in the past too, like that Detlef Schrempf from Germany. But it's interesting to see, of course, that Nikola Vucevic, of all people, was the one to speak out about this against Gilbert Arenas. Not really have so many takes, but I'm sure that's what sparked the question for sure. Let me know what you think about that down below in the comment section, though, about do you think that it's right for Gilbert Arenas to come out and speak about that, speak about Europe as a whole and say how they're soft and they're only offensive, and really kind of discredit what they're doing? I mean, the offensive boom between Nikola Jokic and, of course, Luka Doncic, even Vucevic on another level. I mean, all the Europeans that have come in, a lot of them, that is, especially they have that big Euro play, as a lot of people call, where there are big players that can set really good screens, pop out, shoot the three really well and efficiently, and that's just basically where the NBA is going as well. It's becoming more modern. It's going to where it was over in Europe in that situation. I think it's the best thing for the league. It wasn't great in the middle 2000s when we had a lot of mid-ranges being chucked up, poor field goal percentage, not a lot of threes and open shots being taken, and that's why a lot of the points have gone up. It makes more sense. Gilbert needs to get with the times there. It's not because of the Europeans necessarily. It's because the entire game has changed and there's so many new people in it, and we have got to adjust. I mean, teams just have to adjust if they want to get stops. You know, if you want to see this offensive volume slow down, let me know what you think about that in the comments. But I think the NBA's on the right track in most aspects, but then obviously there are some things like settling for threes as well. So there needs to be some fine-tuning done, of course, but I do think the game is in a better place than it was about 15 to 20 years ago. Let me know what you think down below, as usual, about Gilbert Arenas and Nikola Vucevic. Make sure to like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Sign out.